Welcome to the theater, pal. Your friendly neighborhood master Chaos back with another film. Tonight we're doing the horror version of Quantum Leap with the film Possessor, also known as Possessor Uncut, written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg. In case you didn't know, Brandon Cronenberg is the son of the David Cronenberg. So you kind of get an idea of the style of film we're going to get. This is very much cut from the same cloth of a David Cronenberg film. A little different, a little more modern, I would say. You know, a little more use of handheld cameras as opposed to, steady shots. A little more use of artsy-fartsy angles and, flashes and, kind of craziness that distinguishes it slightly from a typical David Cronenberg film, but also makes it more of a your standard indie horror, well, I should say Sundance-style indie horror movie. I mentioned Quantum Leap at the top of the review here, and that's essentially what we get. If you've seen Quantum Leap, you kind of get the premise. Dr. Sam Beckett leaps into the bodies of people, and he's there to sort of fix what went wrong in their life. God has used him as sort of an angel that possesses people's bodies. So the concept for the movie is there's an organization of hitmen, and what they do is they implant somehow, I guess, the hitman's consciousness or soul into the body of an individual. For example, the main plot is about the boyfriend of this girl whose father is a big technocrat, conglomerate kind of guy. He's like, an Elon Musk type of guy. And so the organization has been hired to possess the boyfriend and use him as an instrument of assassination to take out the Elon Musk guy, who, by the way, is played by Sean Bean. As soon as I saw Sean Bean, I said, Sean Bean's dead. That guy is not going to last. And lo and behold, it's not a spoiler. If you see Sean Bean in the movie, he's not going to make it. That's par for the course. But anyway, so Sean Bean's character is this Elon Musk type guy, and he's the target of the assassination. And so we get introduced early on to her name is Tasya. It's like a weird name, weird Russian name, Tasya Vaz, something like that. Anyway, Andrea Riceborough, something like that. She was Mandy in the movie Mandy, if you've seen that. Anyway, she's the hitman, but very, thin, frail, pale kind of girl, and estranged from her family, and this is kind of what she loves to do. She goes under into this machine, they connect stuff to her brain, they kidnap the boyfriend, and they're able to swap consciousnesses. So now, essentially quantum leaping, she's leapt into his body, she's in control of his body, and in control of everything. Like, if the girlfriend wants to have sex, well, she's got to do it. And that's another thing. The movie's very sexy. It's a very sexual movie, so that's something to keep, be aware of. It's not a family-friendly movie. Well, not that you would think it would be. But anyway, so she's inside the boyfriend's body, and her job is now to assassinate Sean Bean's character. I'm not going to go further into the plot. No spoilers here. No major spoilers, I should say. But essentially, that's the mission is sort of a espionage quantum leap using some kind of weird, Cronenbergian, for lack of a better term, science fiction. And on that regard, it's very interesting. It's a very unique film. It's got a great concept, and I wish it was sort of explored a little bit better. It isn't, and that's sort of par for the course when you're dealing with what what I would call a standard, indie horror sci-fi movie that's trying to elevate the genre. At least that's what it feels like it's trying to do. For that reason, the movie comes off really clinical and very cold. I think it strives for human moments, but at the same time, it's shot in such a abstract and, for lack of a better term, an indie way that I think it probably will turn off a lot of casual viewers. That being said, if you're into indie horror, you're going to love this movie. And when I say indie horror, I don't mean Wild Eye Releasing or Vinegar stuff that Vinegar Syndrome puts out, really obscure kind of exploitation-y kind of things. No. I'm talking about stuff like, if you liked Mandy, if you liked, what's a good example? Mandy's probably the most recent example of what I mean about indie horror. Indie artsy-fartsy horror. That's a better way to put it. It's not, for me, it doesn't have the teeth and the sort of the instant appeal of a Cronenberg movie like a Videodrome or an Existence. I think it feels too cloistered in its indie horror trappings. It's trying to be an artsy fartsy movie, and I think that hurts it ultimately. In my opinion, it hurts it. One amazing thing about the movie, and I think that's the reason it's getting the most praise beyond the acting, is the gore. The movie is very violent. I think for some reason they changed the title of the movie to Uncut, Possessor Uncut. I think that's the official title, which is very strange because Uncut has nothing to do with the plot. But I thought it was just a reference to, like, this was an uncut version of the movie, which, watching it, 100%, this is the uncut version of any movie because it's very, very graphic. All the kills are shown in, intimate detail, and you get a lot of blood splatter, you get a lot of bone crunching, stuff being stabbed into things, you get, like, teeth being knocked out, eyeballs gouged out, heads being blown off. It is very graphic, to the point it's almost comically graphic. And I don't know why they went in that direction. Was it just because they thought, oh, there's really not much going on here, and it's very slow paced. Let's inject these vibrant and violent moments of gore, and blood, and just spice things up. Maybe that's why they did it, because it almost doesn't really fit with the rest of the movie. It's almost sort of counterpoint to the movie's kind of glacial, artsy fartsy horror pace, and then all of a sudden somebody's getting a fire poker through the eye, and the eye's being poked out, and you're like, whoa, oh, wow, okay, did not expect that. And in a way, that works. If that was the plan, I like that juxtaposition is really interesting and really meaty, and really makes the movie very unique. And, obviously it stands out because a lot of movies, skimp out on the gore, Blumhouse. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is, while that is, satisfying in and of itself and fun to watch, even if you're not a gore fan, it's you get a visceral thrill out of the proceedings. The movie in general is far from satisfying. This movie for me gets 3 stars. I don't know that I'm ever going to rewatch it because it's so slow, and I think I got what I got from it. I don't think rewatching would open up the doors of perception as they were, and I would go, oh, I didn't really even realize that this was connected to this. There's probably stuff like that in there, but I honestly don't even want to bother. I think 3 stars is fair. I almost gave it 2, to be honest, only because I love the violence, I love the characters, I love the acting, I love the plot. I think it's very interesting, beyond the fact that it's a ripoff of Quantum Leap, and to some degree kind of an Inception take as well. I like the concept. Jennifer Jason Leigh is in it, sort of a cameo. She does a good job. Andrea Riseborough is very good. But ultimately, the movie doesn't really even have a third act. We get to a part of the plot where we think, okay, where is this going to go? And then the movie kind of just gets resolved all of a sudden, and then the movie ends. But something happens in that resolution. I'm not going to mention it. Don't worry. No spoilers. Something happens in that resolution. It's so big, so awful, that the movie ends before we even get a chance to deal with it or talk about it. As characters, we've grown to, as an audience, we've grown to like these characters and follow these characters, and at least understand what's going on, and we know the connections between these characters. And when something happens and is not addressed, I feel it's really... I don't know. I felt really unsatisfied by this ending. The movie just kind of stops at a point where you wish, okay, this movie needs at least 10 more minutes to sort of wrap everything up. It's a really kind of a blue balls type of ending, if you know what I mean. And that's unfortunate because the movie was pretty powerful, and despite it having a glacial pace, I was really interested in seeing where it was going to go and how it was going to develop. It was a very unique movie. There's nothing like this out there currently. Beyond the fact that, like I said, it shares connections to TV shows and things. But I just wish the ending was a little more put together. And maybe that kind of fits with what the movie was. The entire movie was sort of keeping us at a distance. We didn't even really know what the tech was or how the tech worked. We still don't know. So we're sort of kept at a distance. This is kind of, it's I think, if anything, this is more science fiction than horror. People are calling it a horror movie, but I don't know that I would go with horror. I'd say it's typical of a Cronenberg movie. You know, Cronenberg makes, you know, horrifying science fiction movies. You know, I wouldn't call, you know, I wouldn't call Existence a horror movie. I wouldn't call, oh, you know, Jennifer Jason Leigh's in Existence. I just realized that. That's cool. I wouldn't call Existence a horror movie. I wouldn't really call Videodrome. Well, Videodrome has some body horror stuff, which is interesting. This movie has a little bit of that, but not really. I think the only body horror element here is the gore, the excessive gore. There's one great scene. It's on the poster where somebody's wearing a melted mask. That's very cool sequence. There's a lot of cool stuff in it. But ultimately, I think the movie kept me away too much. And I just felt like it isolated me, and the ending didn't bring me in, didn't make me feel like, wow, I need to either rewatch this, or that whole journey was rewarding. I think that's it. Maybe the movie just wasn't rewarding enough for me. I enjoyed it while I was watching it for the most part. You know, the violence is great. Sometimes it's too much. You know, when it's too much, you're like, oh, okay, come on. We get it. You know, less is more sometimes, and this is a lesson that isn't learned in this movie. I think your mileage may vary as to whether you like it or not. If you're into really, you know, artsy-fartsy, you know, brain-twisty kind of horror movies, I think you'll dig it. Or at least you'll pretend to dig it to feel like you fit in with the cool kids. And if you're not into that kind of stuff, well, then you'll be like, okay, this is absolutely not for me. Well, pal, that'll do it for me. This has been your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos. It's time to close the theater. I hope this video has found you happy, healthy, and well. If you've seen the movie, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. Like I always say, this is a two-way conversation. So until we meet again, I wish you a very happy good day, good evening, or good night, wherever you are. I have been your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos, and you have been entertained.